You were like.
All right, thank you so much. No action taken in executive session, but we do need to take action on these items in order to appoint Larry Ellman as county attorney effective Monday, which means these resolutions will come to us at the full board meeting on Friday. Do I have a motion to move 9A through F together? We don't have to do it that way. Is that okay? All right. Motion by Supervisor Conover, second by Supervisor McGowan. All right, any further discussion for open session? All right, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? That carries. All right, good work, Administrator Moore, pulling all of those together, as well as your team and Amanda's team. And Tammy, thank you. All right, the next one, Ryan?
2022 Employee of the Month. That's what we're up to, right?
Yes.
Correct.
So back in 2018, a couple of months after I started here, we resurrected an idea for the Employee of the Month program. At the time, the reason this is on here is we wanted to formalize it a little bit going into next year. I believe initially we chatted in committee about it, and I suggested that you have on the selection committee, you have a representative from my office, a representative from HR, and 3 supervisors. So there'd be more supervisors than staff. And essentially, we just took names of people who wanted to volunteer to be on it. So the thought I had today is, do you want to assign sort of ex officio supervisor positions to these duties? I truthfully couldn't tell you who's on the committee now or how they got there. And I've lost track of that. That's part of why I wanted to include that in the proposal here. Also, we had initially talked about doing something more for these employees than just a certificate or a photo on the wall or a plaque. And those things are nice and the recognition is nice. But we had talked about, could the county do a nominal cash award, talking, $200, nothing that's going to break the bank. And could we also entertain the idea of doing, some time off, like a special day off, where we would have some conditions to it where it could never be paid out. You would have X amount of time to utilize it. If it's say the Employee of the Month gets a day off award. So that's what I wanted to bring to committee, get people's thoughts on it. I asked the county attorney to take a look, and I don't know whether or not he's had the opportunity to come up with anything definitive, just to make sure that if we do a nominal cash award, that we're not violating anything with the state constitution. I really don't think that we are. I'm not a lawyer, but that's why I asked him to take a look at it.
I just, for background purposes, I'm on the committee. I remember volunteering, but I don't think I've never been, officially appointed by this committee. So I think we should take that up in two different discussions, the award versus, do we want to formalize the committee that reviews the applications and makes recommendations to the full board? Brad?
Yes, I think that's a really honorable idea. I'm a little concerned with the cash, but I wouldn't have a problem giving them, the Employee of the Month 2 days. So if they wanted a Friday and a Monday or something,
2 days, okay.
I wouldn't say.
No, that's quite generous, Supervisor McGowan.
Well,
Is there any other
it says the
discussion?
Cash a day, and you said cash in a day, or cash or a day?
I'm just throwing out a universe for us to consider. If we're interested in assigning something to this program that's a little bit more than a plaque, here's a couple of options. We could do both.
right.
We could do one or the other. And if we're going to do that, we probably ought to formalize who's on the selection committee. When I described this request, I did it backwards. That's why I'm also getting into whether we want to formalize who sits on this thing.
All right.
If we're going to be also handing out an award.
All right, Supervisor Garrity, then I'll come to you, Ben.
Well, I was just gonna say a gift card rather than cash. A gift card, is that what you're talking about?
No, I was going to say an extra like a bonus payment.
In their paycheck?
In their
Yeah.
check.
Yeah,
Then the taxes.
subject to legal analysis, of course.
That's true. Kevin, they would pay tax on it, right?
Oh, yeah.
It'd be in their paycheck, yeah. Okay, Ben?
This program was intended to improve morale, to recognize the good works of individuals, but there's also a a competitive component to it, and it's kind of ironic that it's on election day that we're discussing this. I wouldn't want two individuals from the same department, one individual who wasn't recognized, having hard feelings about the other individual that was, when maybe they're equally deserving of the recognition. I think that just personally, in my opinion, a monetary award could, you could develop those hard feelings. I would be more in favor of some type of a, I know originally when the program first started, we gave them, it was a piece of artwork, yeah. I would be more in favor, not as much the plaque, but come up with some type of a gift that is certainly a lot less than $200 in value, but shows their recognition. Maybe something like that. So I was just my thoughts.
Okay, Chairwoman?
Supervisor Driscoll, you bring up a really good point and one that was discussed quite a bit. We did look at the federal government where they have this idea of time off, cash awards, spot awards, so that we could kind of look at other government approved programs. I would just caution this board and this committee to please be very careful about the gifts that you're going to give Employee of the Month. If they exceed our new ethics law and that training that we're all taking, I think it's really important that we remember to stay under those guidelines. If that's, well, I'm not in favor of giving a gift, but if this is what the board decides, I'd also ask that any members of the board that own a business, that we please do not donate or give those gifts, because again, I think we're going to cross the line on our ethics and could exceed not only the dollar amount, but the way that looks. So if we could just, I like the plaque, I like the certificate, it would be great to give that time off. And I think maybe down the road, what our treasurer continues to ask us to consider is how do we recognize and award those individuals that go above and beyond, not just as Employee of the Month, but all year long. So we're grateful for everyone's assistance and their hard work, but just as a reminder on that, please.
Thank you. Supervisor Conover?
Yeah, I mean, I think the program's great. This, unlike one of the previous matters, under our rules, I think this is the province of the chair, this creation of special committees. So I guess what I'm asking a question here, which would be, just as you move forward, just make sure you reconcile that with the rules of the board. I'm not saying there's anything wrong here, but what I'm saying is just check that before.
That was actually something Ms. Allen just brought to my attention. We need to be careful about, are we setting up a special committee or are we just having a group that would select these appointments, which is what I envisioned, not a special committee appointed by the chair. But maybe we could do a little more work on this and put together a more fleshed out proposal for next committee meeting. Yes, Chairwoman?
Chairwoman. If you don't mind, I do like the idea of a work group. Again, we're talking about personnel matters when we
Right.
discuss individuals' performance, and that should always be done in private, either in executive session or in those small work groups. So in my opinion, anyhow. So if we could do a little more work on that and maybe come back next personnel committee with, I'm sure you'll survey your personnel members and how they all feel about that prior to Supervisor.
Yes, I will do that. That brings up a good point about why we have a representative from HR there. They can help us understand if there are any disciplinary concerns or if everything is wonderful and glowing in their records. But certainly we don't want that to be discussed in a public setting. Thank you. Yes, Ryan?
And that'll give Robert or Larry some more time on the question of the cash payment. Robert indicated that he had started, but perhaps has a little bit more to look at.
I'm not really all that comfortable with it. I kind of like the idea of, we might call it a nominal award, like, a plaque, a certificate, things that are nice accomplishments that someone can have, the covered parking space or the parking space close to the door kind of thing. Something like that. Even a time off, I worry about. Now we have, collective bargaining agreements with various unions, and they specify the kinds of vacation personal time that employees get based on their amount of service and that. And, that we're changing that by giving an extra day off to someone And I worry about the whole interplay of that as well.
And that's the other point I was going to make as well is I look favorably on the concept of giving them a sort of a bonus day off in recognition of being employee of the month. But if we do that, we'll have to do an MOA with the unions. It's a subject of mandatory collective bargaining, so we can't unilaterally impose that. And I'm bringing that up in the context of the timetable that we have to figure this out.
All right, so we'll keep that on. Do you mind, Mr. Moore, if we leave this on your
Not at all.
agenda as an item? Okay, and I will talk to Personnel Committee members before next month's meeting, or next meeting, whenever that is. Anything further, Ryan?
That's it.
All right, thank you. On pending items, I really don't know if there's an update from the treasurer on this number one item. I'm just gonna leave it on there. Same with, I guess, number two. Chairwoman, have you heard anything further on this item, suggestion for awarding additional vacation days to employees? I'm just gonna leave that on for now as well.
May I?
Yes,
Thank you. I think what was decided was that when Treasurer Swan is able to be here, that I know he really wanted to be able to have that dialogue with your committee.
Okay.
That's something it's kind of tied back into that other discussion. So maybe we could hit both of those at your next personnel and finance meeting
okay,
or personnel meeting.
yeah, personnel.
Thank you.
And then the last two we kind of already touched on. Does anyone have anything further? Privilege of the floor from committee members. There's no one here. Let me just check with Don. I doubt there are public comments on there, but let me just see. I don't even see, is Mr. Lehman available?
I am, of course, available. It is a meeting day. We have no public comment as of now.
Thank you so much, Don. All right, motion to adjourn, please. Thank you Supervisor Garrity, seconded by Supervisor McGowan. Thank you everyone for the good work today.